Hi everybody, today's Sunday school lesson comes from, well, Jesus was out and about, so I thought while I'm cycling I'm going to do today's Sunday school lesson. How cool is that? So it might be a bit bumpy at the beginning because I'm trying to concentrate on you and tell a story. Oh, this is getting a bit tricky. I think I'm going to just stop here and start to tell the story. Oh, we're having a great cycle ride today. It reminds me of a Bible story. Jesus was out and about with his friends, and people in the crowd were shouting out to him as he was talking, and he answered some of the questions that they had. Questions to do with all sorts of things. But before we get into that question, let's sing a song. Our first song is from an African children's choir. So the words are on the screen. See if you can sing along. It's a lovely old song that friends of mine who have gone to glory now used to sing a long time ago. Let's stand and sing. Are you ready? Let's sing.
Trials and temptations, things that travel anywhere. We should never be discouraged. We should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer. Can we find a friend? Can we find a friend so faithful, who will not our sorrow share? Jesus
Oh, I do love that song. What a friend we have in Jesus. Often we think about Jesus as just something we do on Sunday, but that song reminds us he's a friend. And what do you do with your friends, your best friends? Well, you want to see them every day, and that's where we are with Jesus. We should want to see him every day. Okay, now we're going to go over to the farm and we're going to talk to Kieran. Kieran is going to tell us all about something that they use on the farm every day. So Kieran, over to you.
Well, good morning, boys and girls. It's a sunny Thursday morning, and we can see we're out just cleaning out the sprayer tank this morning after I finished spraying last night. So I thought I'd come into the field and just show you what is happening already to these weeds that I've sprayed last night. So if I come over here, you can see these stinging nettles here are already drooping over a little bit. So you can see across the top of the plant here. Just see where the spray's hit it at the top. You see it's all coming down and dying very slowly. I mean, this was only, I must have finished spraying this for about 7 o'clock last night, and it's already, it's what, 12 hours later, and it's already dying in that kind of way. It just shows how effective these sprays are. You can see on these thistles are starting to die as well. They're starting to, you can see they're just starting to get a bit brown in places. And they're starting to keel over a little bit. They take a little bit longer to die, thistles, because they're slightly stronger and deeper rooted, but nettles die very, very quickly. What else can I find that's we hit with the spray? See more nettles that are slowly but surely dying. Here we go, there's some docks here. You can see these dock leaves here. So these docks are, you think they're still quite green, but you can see there's one or two, they're all starting to curl up, you see. It's all starting to, they're not as strong as they normally are. Yeah, so you can see they're all curling up at the edges, look. Which just shows how effective this spray is. Or again, on a dock, because nettles are the easiest things to kill, but these docks are quite stubborn and don't really want to die either. So with the spray you used, kills all that. So yeah, and by looks of it, so you see all these broadleaf weeds, these broadleaf plants here. This is what we call clover. Now we like clover, we want clover, and you can see where we like clover, but unfortunately this spray doesn't kill it. Unfortunately, you can just see one or two plants starting to get a bit white there. That could also be from the chicken milk that we spread, because we haven't had that much rain since. What it's done is it's slightly burnt the glass off, unfortunately. So it's really important that I clean the sprayer out properly before I use it again, or before I use a new chemical in it, because each chemical targets a different sort of type of weed. So you can get chemicals that will target broadleaf weeds, like we've been doing in the grass fields, so the nettles and the thistles and the docks. We can get we can get stuff that targets those, which we've been using. And then we can also get chemicals that also target grass weeds, so things that will kill the grass on the floor here. It'll kill volunteer wheat or barley in broadleaf crops like beans and peas. So we need to clean the sprayer out really properly, because if we don't, then it could be that the next thing I use it for could be something that I don't want to kill. It could be using it in some beans, for example, and the beans might die because of the chemical that was in here before if I don't clean it out properly. Even though it's got all the new chemical in it, just a little bit of the old chemical might kill it. That's especially important with something called Roundup. Now, if you ask your mummy and the daddies, they'll be able to tell you what Roundup is, but well, they'll know exactly what I mean. Roundup is something that kills everything. It will kill everything. It's got an active ingredient in it called glyphosate, or glyphosate, however you want to say it. And what that does is that basically kills everything. That will turn anything that's green, it will turn it yellow, and it will kill it. Which is really useful at sometimes, but it's also, obviously, in grassland we don't want to do that. So if this sprayer has had Roundup in it before, I need to make sure I clean it out really, really properly, because then I won't spray all the grassland off, which is ideal. So that's why it's really important to clean the sprayer out, and why you have to clean it out 3 times to make it chemically safe. That's what they tell you should do. So I've done that once now. I've just got to go back and fill it up and wash it all down again. And once I've washed it all down again, I'll go back, come out back up here, spray it out, and then I'll go back and fill it up one more time, spray it, and then I'll take the sprayer off. So that is what I'm doing right at the moment. So there we go. So Brad's talking to you a little bit today about barns. So on our farm we have some little barns, some medium-sized barns, and some massive barns. So in your story today, the man you're looking at, he couldn't get enough of these massive barns. And we have all different types of barns in this day and age. We have barns like this one that are for keeping animals in, like chickens. We have big barns for grain, for storing the wheat and the barley and the oilseed rape, etc. So we have all those type of barns as well. We also have things called Dutch barns. These barns are sort of open fronted, and what they do is they can, we normally put bales of hay and that sort of thing and straw in there because it keeps them nice and cool. We have barns like our medium-sized barn that I showed you earlier. That is, we use that for putting the sheep in and doing sheep work, etc. in, and we store our hay and machinery in there. Then we have our little barn, which is we use for all little kinds of jobs and storing bits of parts and that sort of thing in there as well. So we have lots of different types of barns all over the place. You have open fronted barns that you just store machinery in, just a bit of a cover. And then if you look in sort of olden days, when what you see is you have a barn that has a sort of square on the bottom, and then it has a pitched roof like that, and it has a big door in the bottom and then a little door above it. So this big door goes into the bottom of the barn, and that's where all the big space is. And then on the top, what you got is you got this little hole, and this little door. And what they do is they tend to put the hay up there, and so that's how in the olden days they used to make sure the hay was right where the animals were. They used to put it right above them in the hay loft, and that's why sometimes you might hear parents calling the sort of up the very very top of your house the hay loft. Well, not very often these days, I don't suppose, but yeah, that's where that comes from. So yeah, lots of different types of barns, and but we have to be really careful we don't be greedy, because it costs a lot of money to put up, unfortunately. But this person in your story was very greedy, wasn't he? He kept trying to put bigger and bigger barns up to get more and more crop in, and yeah. So that's what I just thought I'd explain to you a little bit about how many different types of barns there are in that we have, and then also that there are in the UK as well. So make sure you look out for them and see if you can identify what type of barns they are and what you think they might well be used for.
Thanks, Kieran. Did you ever know so many good things go on the farm? Anyway, I'm going to go for a little bit of a cycle and find another bit of God's amazing glory, because these flowers are just beautiful. Are you ready? Come with me, let's see what we can find. Wow, that was a great ride. Are you ready for our next song? Our next song is a great song. This again is really old. Your mums and dads will remember this song from when they were children, and probably their mums and dads will remember it from when they were children. Oh, count your blessings every day. Now what the song's reminding us to do is to count when God gives us good things, and count when God gives us good things. And then at the end of the day, remind ourselves that God has given us good things. So let's stand and sing. Words are on the screen. You'll probably remember the song from a long time ago, because we've sung it one or two times before, but it's a lovely old song. Let's stand and sing. Are you ready? Count your blessings every day. One of the things that happened to Jesus on many occasions as he was walking about, people would ask him questions. Questions about all sorts of things, like, oh, I don't know. Anyway, we've got one idea of what they talked about because we find that in our story today in Luke. A man came up to Jesus and said, I have a relative who has just died, and my other relative who has received his share of the inheritance is not giving me my share of the inheritance, and that's not fair. Tell him to give me my share of the inheritance. I'm not asking for any more or any less, I just want my share. Now Jesus, you would have thought, would have said, sure, no problems, you just be nice and give him your inheritance. But he doesn't do that. Instead, he tells a parable. Now we all know what parables are because we've been reminded of those parables every week so far. A parable is a story which has a meaning. Now when Jesus tells parables, those meanings are all to do with the kingdom of heaven and our relationship with him and our relationship with the Father. And so Jesus told him this parable. There was a farmer, and the farmer, he went out and he prepared good ground, and he went and bought good seed, and he planted that seed in the field, and he watered it, and he looked after it, and he gave him all the nutrients that it needed so that it would grow. And as it started to grow from a seed to a seedling to a little green shoot to a plant, eventually it came up as a crop. Now this year the crop was bigger than he'd ever seen before. Oh my word, he thought, this is fantastic. Where am I going to put all of the produce? I know, he thought, I'm going to build a bigger barn. I'm going to knock the barn down that I've got, and I'm going to build the biggest barn you have ever seen for all of this stuff. And then once it's all in the barn, I won't have to worry about work anymore. I can put my feet up, I can relax, I can enjoy all the things that I can now do because I've got all this behind me. How fantastic is that? And lots of people often think that's a great way to live your life. Get everything I need and then sit back and relax. But you see, Jesus then told him the next part of the parable. That very night, you're going to die. Oh, that's not a nice end to the story. But you see, the nice end to this story is it's all about your heart. Because this man had himself in his heart. He didn't care for anybody else. You see, God gave him super amounts of food, super amounts of produce in his field. By all means, build a bigger barn so you can store it. That's great. But what are you going to do with all the things that you have got? You see, there's people who are lonely. There's people who are hungry. There's people who need your help. And I've given you all of this help. But you decided you're not going to help anybody. You're just going to look after yourself. Well, tonight, you're going to lose your life. And then what will happen to all of this? Well, the mice will get it. The rats will get it. The birds will get it. It'll just rot away. Because nobody else wants it. Now that's really sad. Really sad. So you see, there's a story here, and it's about your heart. You see, it's okay to have lots of things, but it's not okay to think that you can keep those things to yourselves, because God has given you those things so that you can share them with other people. And that's the most important part of the story. You see, Jesus went on to tell the next part of the story, and he then said, consider these flowers, how beautiful are they? They don't worry about how beautiful they look and how glorious is their colour. Oh, and they don't worry about how beautiful is their smell. You see, the Father does all that. Look at the birds in the trees. They don't worry about their songs. Look at the apples on the tree. They don't worry about how big they can grow. They just get on with it. Don't worry about the little flowers that are in the field. Don't worry about them either, because you see, the Father worries all about that. If your life is filled with worries of this world, then the Father is not looking after you. If, however, you're filled with thinking about the Father, then I can look after you and I'll provide all that you need, and you won't need anything else. You see, this is the moral of the story. This is the promise of the story. We can all want better things. We can all want bigger things. But what's more important is having Jesus in your heart, because that's the only thing that matters. Because when this life is finished, when it's all over and done with, where will you go? Will you go to heaven? Oh, I do hope so, because I'll be waiting for you. Or will you not be going to heaven? You see, and what defines whether you go to heaven or not is whether you've asked Jesus to come and live in your heart. Well, we finally got back to my garden, having been out and about for the day. And it's a really good day today. What a great story. We have a God who's not interested in wealth. He's not interested in how much money you've got, what sort of house you live in, a big house, a palace, a castle, a tent, a tarpaulin, an ordinary house. He's just not interested in any of those things. But what he is interested, your heart. And where does your heart belong? That's what he's interested in. And so, as we bring our story to an end, we're going to sing the song that we sang right at the beginning with the children's choir. So on your feet, let's sing a song, and then we're going to get on with some great craft work. Are you ready? Let's sing.
What a friend we have in Jesus. All our sins and griefs to bear. What a privilege to carry everything to God in prayer. Oh, what peace we often forfeit. Oh, what needless pain we bear. Oh, because we do not carry everything to God in prayer. Have we trials and temptations? Is there trouble anywhere?
We should never be
We
discouraged.
should never be discouraged. Take it to the Lord in prayer.
Can we find a friend?
And we find a friend so faithful, who will not our sorrow share.
But Jesus
So are you ready for some artwork? We've got some great artwork for you guys to do. Some real thinking artwork, some colouring artwork, some craft and building artwork. You're going to need some glue, some scissors. You're going to need a grown-up to help you cut out some of the stuff. If you're little, if you're slightly larger, I'm sure you can do it yourself. But you've got to be careful because there's some precision cuts required. So let's first of all start off with the seniors. Seniors, we've got some great stuff for you to do, and I'm sure we could also class this as an all age. We know how much you enjoy word searches, so we've got a word search for you to do. So juniors, got a piece of work for you to do, and I think the seniors might want to get involved in this one too. We have 16 words that are hidden somewhere in this word search. Get your thinking heads on, get your searching eyes on. You need to find every word. When you find it, highlight it. Here's a clue. The words are either in this direction or they're in this direction. There's nothing that's diagonal in any direction. So it's either vertical or horizontal. Happy hunting. Hope you find them all. One of the things we'd like you to do is, here's the key for the code. Using every number, find the letter, put the letter in the box, and then find the hidden message, and also where will you find that message in the Bible. This is going to be an interesting time. Get your thinking caps on, calling all spies. I'm sure you can get this one cracked. When you've done it, give us a shout and let us know what the code says. Also, we've got a jigsaw. We know how you love jigsaws. This one's a really tricky one because all the shapes are exactly the same shape. They are triangles, but if you put them together in the right order, it will spell a special message to you and tell you where to find that message. So we've given you a backdrop that you can stick it on, but be careful, don't stick it too quickly. Make sure that you've got all the pieces in the right place before you stick it down, because otherwise it could look a bit of a mess trying to tear some up and put them down in the right place. So put the triangles together in the right order and spell the secret message. Juniors, we know you love colouring, so we've got a big colouring sheet. Maybe the beginners would like to do this sheet as well, and I'm sure some of the seniors, they like to do some doodling. So we've got a sheet for you guys to work on as well. So colour it in. Again, why don't you photograph it? Stick it on the website so we can see your amazing artwork. Okay then beginners, so what we're going to do is we are going to give you two sheets. One of the sheets you need to cut out the two doors, you need to cut out the barn that goes with those doors, and you need to cut out these two areas here on that sheet. Having done that, we can then get on with the next piece of the puzzle. Okay, so the next part of the puzzle is we take the next sheet for the beginners, and then using a glue stick, we apply glue along the blue areas or around the blue areas of the sheet. Having done that, we'll then take our magnificent barn that we have cut out and we will glue it onto the front like that. Having glued that on, we will then take our little barn doors, the hay barn doors, and we will stick them onto these little tab areas here. And then having done that, we'll fold the barn doors up, fold the hay doors open, and we'll have a fantastic craft. So colour it in, cut it out, stick it together, put it on the website. Let's see what great things that you can make. The last piece of artwork we've got for you, the Lego challenge. What sort of barn can you build? Why not build your most fantastic barn, photograph it, stick it on the website so we can see it, and we'll all marvel at your expertise in Lego. That's it for this week. What an interesting challenge. Lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, not treasures on the earth. And when next time you see a beautiful flower, just imagine what the Bible says. Jesus said himself, even Solomon, even the richest people in the whole world, is not dressed as beautiful as one little flower. And God thinks of more of you than he does of the flowers. So let's put God in our heart this week and treasure his word rather than the things of this world. Before we go, one last piece of homework for you to do. And this is a dead easy piece of homework. Find yourself a box. This is a tissue box, but find yourself a box because we're going to use that next week. Next week we're starting a new series, and the series is called The Proverbs, and we're going to look at the things in the world that cause us to be worried and realise actually God is there to help us through these things. And the proverb that we're going to be basing everything around is this one here in Proverbs chapter 2 and verse 1, and it says, Listen you, whether you be a boy, a girl, a mum, a dad, an uncle, or auntie, doesn't matter. Listen to my words and treasure up my commands with you. So we're going to have a treasure box so that we can put God's promises in that box. And then when we're feeling down and we're feeling sad, we can open the treasure box and we can look inside and remind ourselves of what the good things that the Lord has done for us. So that's it for this week. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. Bye bye now. Take care.